If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to Downfall Network for more cool content. What's up everyone, Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic, and I have a collection update for you. So, found out the record stores had opened up, and pretty much everything else now. Still going in there with the mask and gloves and all that shit, just because, you know, just trying to stay safe. But it was great to actually go in a record store again and actually go buy some music. Now, not all of this stag has stuff I went out and bought. This is still a lot of stuff that I ordered online, and there's still a lot coming. But either way, I got a stack of a lot of different stuff here, ranging from like grindcore, black metal, death metal, some death doom. It's kind of all over the place, so let's just get into it. Alpdruck. This is their debut self-titled EP. This came out last year, and this was self-released by the band, and this is blackened death metal, almost grindcore in spots. This is so dissonant and ugly sounding. I absolutely love it. This is just really gnarly sounding. Like, it's very dense across the board. Really like the vocals and how kind of cavernous and just tortured they sound. And you're not getting a lot of really riffy moments on here. It's mostly just about that really dense tremolo strumming and just kind of building the atmosphere in here. Really solid release. I really enjoyed this. I heard these guys on some channel on YouTube that might have been Gore Grinder, and I had to check it out. Found them on Bandcamp, and here it is. If you're looking for something that is just insanely heavy, all about that distant atmosphere, and kind of bordering on Portal levels of insanity in some spots, not all of it, definitely check this out. This is a solid EP. Kvaen, the Funeral Pyre. I'm not entirely sure I'm saying the band name right. It's K-V-A-E-N, however you pronounce that. I think Kvaen sounds right, but that's probably wrong. This is a really cool melodic black metal band that came out on Black Lion Records. This is a one-man band, and it's awesome. This is very thrashy at times, very melodic. Lots of great lead work on here, and I was really shocked that this was a one-man band, because sometimes with one-man bands, you hear what they're really proficient at and then what they're just kind of okay at, and honestly, this guy is really good across the board. Drum work is solid. It doesn't sound as though it's programmed. Tons of great riffs on here, lead melodies all over the place. There's a lot of dissection worship on here, but there's also some really cool like pagan Viking melodies across the board. This whole album just fucking rips. Really, really solid stuff. I thoroughly enjoyed this from start to finish. This is their debut album, and this is a hell of a start for this guy. I usually say these guys, but this is just one man. Really cool stuff. I'm definitely looking forward to more stuff from this guy in the future. Check this out. Elder, Omens. This is their new album out on Stickman Records, and this is a little bit different than their older stuff. Now, they put out a EP not too long ago. I think it was like the Gold and Silver Sessions or something to that effect, and it was definitely more chill, laid back, not as heavy as their earlier stuff. Like, wasn't as focused on like stoner doom or like really kind of proggy stoner metal. This is an interesting turn. This is a very chill album. In fact, the really heavy moments here are very few and far between, and there's a lot of synths on here, like very cool 80s synths. Like sometimes they go like full bore, like early Cars kind of stuff, and then sometimes they get that like 70s rock or 70s prog rather, with like a Rick Wakeman sort of feel. As far as like big chuggy riffs in here, there are still some, but a lot of it is more about like ambience, mood, and melody. And it's an interesting turn for the band. I like this, but I really like their older material a little bit more. And vocally, they're still not quite that great. It's kind of a flat delivery. It's serviceable. I mean, it does carry the song, but at this point, I think with the amount of melody that's in here, I think the vocals really need to improve, I guess. But yeah, the post-metal, sort of post-rock kind of feeling here is definitely different. And I like it. It's just kind of taking me some time to get into it. I have to say the song Halcyon, though, is absolutely amazing. It's a great slow building song, like very kind of Cult of Luna, except without the growling vocals. It's just kind of an interesting chill listen. I'm definitely going to jam this one more. If you're a fan of their older stuff, this might be a bit too much of a change, but honestly, I'd still say check it out, because there's still enough of their older sound on there. It's just different, but it's still good. Check it out. Putrisect, Cascading Inferno. This came out originally in 2018, and I believe this is reissued by Regain and Blood Harvest. and Helter Skelter. I don't know, it's a mishmash of different labels on here. I believe it was Blood Harvest that reissued this one. These guys are from Baltimore, Maryland, and this is very straightforward, old school death metal. Very cavernous though. Vocals are drenched in reverb, and the dude sounds like he's growling into a well. It's very like incantation, but it's very groove oriented. It isn't as death doomy. I have to say I don't like the snare on this. It has kind of that plunky snare, which that's just kind of a personal thing with me. It's just not what I get into. But overall, I like the songs on here, and I like the overall just grisly atmosphere on this. It's really just almost kind of a cathartic listen. Now, I originally heard about these guys courtesy of a split EP with Scorched I picked up a while ago, and that split EP is absolutely awesome. And I like the recording on that one a little bit better, so I had to actually get some of their own stuff, and this is really solid. I definitely dig this. I mean, that's right in my wheelhouse. I love death metal, so yeah. I definitely recommend it if you're big into incantation or just cavernous death metal or old school death metal. Like I said, it's very groovy, very chuggy. Pretty solid stuff. Definitely check it out. Sweven, The Eternal Resonance. Now, I remember hearing about this band, and when I heard the name Sweven, I was like, wait a minute, that was the name of Morbus Chron's last album. And lo and behold, this is two members of Morbus Chron continuing pretty much what they were doing on that last album. Morbus Chron started off as like a really wild death metal band from Sweden, and then they shifted more towards like prog and kind of atmospheric death metal. This pretty much continues that, except I think it's even better. This is, first off, a very long album. It's over an hour, but this is really just packed with some very creative songwriting. This is very proggy death metal, very atmospheric. There's a lot of stuff that reminds me of like a combination of Death, early Opeth, some Mastodon in there too, Enslaved. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of really cool guitar interplay here. The songwriting is all over the place. The songs are almost kind of unpredictable in some spots too. I kind of like that they keep you guessing as to where they're going to go. The only knock I can make on it, I think the vocals, while very dramatic, very tortured growls are cool. I think some of this required some more clean vocals. Now, there are some clean vocals that pop up towards the end that's more like a big gothic chant rather, but it really could have used some more like actual cleans in other spots just to really kind of accent it. There's a lot of really cool piano parts in here too. Instead of the more traditional keyboards you hear in prog metal or just prog in general, you hear more just straight up piano spots. And I think it's just really cool. This is a really awesome album, and I've been hooked on it since I picked it up. This was a nice surprise. So yeah, I'm glad that in some fashion Morbus Chron continued on with this. Just granted, it's a different name. Anyway, check this out. It's an incredible listen. Triptykon. Now, this is their new symphonic album with the Metropole Orkest. It's called Requiem, and this is only 3 tracks, but the middle track is over 32 minutes long, so it's a pretty full affair here. Now, I had heard they were going to do this thing, and I checked out one of the videos for Rex Array, which I was like, it's off of Into the Pandemonium, and I'm not the biggest fan of that one. But it was really interesting how they did all this. Like, you had timpani drums, string sections, giant choirs. Like, wow, this really kind of lifts the song up. And the female vocalist on here doing the operatic vocals is fantastic. The big piece of this, though, is that 32-minute song. It's all over the place in terms of style. Like, there's parts that remind me of Pink Floyd. There are parts that are fiercely gothic. There's definitely spots that remind me of Celtic Frost and Triptykon, of course, in terms of that just big, heavy, blackened, whatever they do. Very dramatic piece, and it's pretty much as it should be in terms of like a big symphonic opus. It's really excellent. The last track, Winter, is really cool too, but the centerpiece is what really caught me. Really enjoyed this. I'd rather hear like, you know, a studio album from these guys because I'd love to hear more material from these guys, but this was a really cool experiment and it's definitely worth checking out. Werewolves, The Dead Are Screaming. Now, once again, this is another Australian band. Seems to be a lot of them popping up here lately. This is a supergroup that I had no idea formed. This features Matt Wilcock and Sam Bean of The Berserker and David Haley of Psychroptic. And this was described to me as blackened death metal or technical blackened death metal, according to Encyclopedia Metalum. And honestly, the black metal elements are barely here. They're here, just very, you know, scattered on this album. This is mostly just death metal or death grind. You hear a lot of elements from the bands that they're in, like definitely in terms of the Berserker minus the electronic drums, but you still hear some samples here and there, which, you know, that was kind of their thing, the electronic death metal stuff. And honestly, it kind of comes off as like a combination of like Dying Fetus and Vader and maybe like a touch of Exhumed here and there. Cool alternating vocals between like a kind of a higher roar and then like a really low gurgled growl. Songs are very straightforward. There really isn't a tremendous amount of nuance on here in terms of like, oh, I'm going to show you something really cool and flashy, but a lot of this is just driving home, blast beats, big riffs. It's just loaded with solid moshers. Like, this is just an intense album from start to finish. Pretty solid. And as far as like super groups go, I would definitely get more by these guys. This is a really cool debut. Definitely check it out, especially if you're looking for something just instantly fast and heavy. Tombstoner, Descent to Madness. I was actually watching another YouTuber, I believe it was Classy Lonnie or Classy Metal Lonnie or whatever his channel is. It's got a lot of cool stuff. He just constantly gets stuff like me, I guess. But he brought up this album. I like the description. I went on their Bandcamp and jammed some songs, and I really dug this. This is a 5-song EP from just a straight up old school death metal band from Staten Island, New York. Now, as much as I say it's straight up old school, there are some other elements to it that really kind of show up, and I don't know if anyone's really brought up about them. It sounds like a combination of crossover thrash and just old school death metal. So like, imagine like Power Trip meets Jungle Rot, like Gatecreeper and Obituary type grooves, and then you get stuff that's very similar to like Power Trip in terms of the vocal delivery, which the guy kind of stays in kind of a thrashy bark for the most part, but then occasionally gets lower. But this has a lot of thrashy sections, a lot of thrashy riffs. Even the solos kind of have like a thrash-like feel to them. This came out on Redefining Darkness, and that label is constantly putting out killer stuff here lately. Definitely check this out. It's only 5 songs, but man, these songs are just ripping. Especially the song Guts. There's a breakdown towards the end that is, granted, very simple, but I just love how well placed it is, and it's just a good driving section. But either way, just check this out. It's awesome. Evoken, Embrace the Emptiness. This is their debut album from 1998. Now, granted, this is a 2011 reissue through LG Records, and this is a combination of Death Doom and Funeral Doom. So this is slow and heavy and oppressive as hell. I have a lot of their material, and honestly, for the longest time, I thought they were pretty much just like a Finnish band. Like, they sound like they're from Europe. They don't sound like an American band, honestly. These guys are from New Jersey. I was actually shocked when I finally looked that up. This is just oppressive, cathartic. I like the fact that they use a lot of cool clean tones in there that gives it a really cool gothic feel. Like, this sounds like it was recorded in a cemetery or a giant catacomb. It's just a giant bummer, but it's fun to listen to. I guess that's kind of an odd description, but it is Funeral Doom, and it's all about that sullen, depressive atmosphere, and mission accomplished. I really enjoy this one. I like what they're doing now. I think it's a little bit better in terms of like the songwriting, but in terms of the capturing that overall feel in terms of doom, and especially Funeral Doom, this is awesome. Definitely check this out, especially if you're looking for something slow, sludgy, and depressing, because this is it. And finally, we have 2 from Grafvitnir. I think that's how you pronounce that. Either way, we have Keys to the Mysteries Beyond and Nahash. This is their debut album that came out in 2012. This is a reissue, though, that came out, I believe, this year on Cavis Secretorum Records Music. I don't know, it really doesn't say it, but it says 2020, so it was this year. This is really epic melodic black metal. I absolutely love the songwriting in here. It is very dynamic. It's different than this one, decidedly. This is more about building giant epic melodies. The songs are longer. There's a lot of really cool song construction on here. I think the melodies are way more out front. I like the production a little bit better on this, though this might be remastered from the original. I haven't heard that. This one is decidedly more raw, and I like it, but it definitely isn't as dynamic. There are fewer moments that really slow down. This one is almost just all blast beats outside of a few moments on here. Eye of Lucifer was probably one of the biggest standouts in here because it really didn't labor the blast as much, and there are some really cool, thrashy, catchy moments on here. This one, I pretty much loved every track on here. It's just epic. I absolutely loved the songwriting. Either way, I'm definitely a fan of this band now. I'm definitely going to check out more by them because I could use some more black metal. I haven't really picked up a tremendous amount of black metal here lately, and this was really, really good. Definitely check out these albums, especially this one. Still check out this one, but I absolutely, totally recommend this one. Killer stuff. Alright, well that knocks out another one of these. I still have another stack of music I'm going to get to, and there's definitely more coming in the mail too, so definitely going to be busy with that, and of course we're going to be putting out all sorts of other content here soon. So yeah, very busy. Either way, definitely want to throw a shout out to Downfall Network too. Thanks for picking us up. We really appreciate that, and we look forward to doing more stuff with you guys too. So, if you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe because we do stuff like this all the time. Catch you guys later.